Well, we're here. We're live. It's exciting. Chris Carr, CEO of Farotech. Welcome to the speaking show.
How are you, sir? This
I
is really
am
great.
great.
Awesome. Awesome.
Good to be
Well,
talking to you. So, you are running a digital marketing agency. That's what Farotech is.
that's right.
Tell us a little bit about the Chris Carr professional journey and what brought you to doing that work today. And then we'll talk about some things, what you are doing today, and some ideas for our listeners.
Sure. We started Fairtech about 19 years ago. We have between full-time staff and part-timers, we got about 50 people working strong. I think one of the main things we're trying to do is trying to weather the storm and trying to coach businesses on how to make the most of this opportunity. And I think that a lot of people are viewing it as a crisis, which it absolutely is. There's a lot of businesses that are impacted. I think I got a thing today that says there's about 6.6 million people applying for unemployment, which is just crazy. But I also think I'm one of the rare people I think that views this time as an opportunity. And what I want to be able to do is kind of show the things that we've done over the last 19 years, but things that companies can do at a fraction of a cost, whether they don't even have to pay it to Fairtech or anything like that, but things they can be doing on their own to make the most of this opportunity. And I believe that if you can dial in on some of these things and get them absolutely, working right, I actually think that this time you could look back on this time and say, you know what, that opportunity was used to the best of its advantage, and we're in such a better place because of it. And so that's what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help businesses not view this as it is a crisis, but not view this as a downtime, but view this as an opportunity.
I love that. Absolutely. Well, and we're going to get to all of that quarantine, COVID-19 craziness here.
Crazy, isn't it?
Let's talk about just your company.
Mm-hmm.
And when I said, hey, it's a digital marketing agency, people are going, man, there's a lot of digital marketing agencies. But tell us what makes Farotech special. What are some of the secret sauce ingredients that you tell clients and that you tell your team that you're really proud of?
Sure. Well, I think what happened here is that a lot of what happened is how we were built. So we started out as a web development company. It was just me and a couple other people in 2001. From there, we went from web development, and we said, you know what, we could build really great websites, but our client says, you know what, we can't find them on Google. So we dove into SEO, got really strong in SEO, and then algorithm changes happened in SEO. And it started to make you think like, you know what, I'm putting a lot of eggs in one basket here. If I could, be in a scenario here where I'm not omni-channel and I'm looking at this thing comprehensively, what could I do? And so from there, what we did is we got into conversion science. We became HubSpot partners, Wistia partners with a lot of really good organizations and technology partners that allowed us to do a comprehensive approach for our clients. Now, why that sort of matters is I believe that a lot of businesses can be in a scenario where they don't even know it, but it's possible they built their marketing or their house on sand, because we don't own Google and we don't own Facebook, and we're one algorithm change away or one adjustment away from all of your marketing sort of being like invisible if they go and they change course. And so what I believe that we have to do now is be in a scenario where we start to figure out how to build a 3 to 5 year model to do a comprehensive approach so that if one of these dials changes, that you're not dead in the water.
So let's talk about that. What does that look like? What are some first things that we should be thinking about? If people are listening to you, Chris, and they're going, wow, he's right. We're totally, our whole digital marketing infrastructure is built on sand, and it could go away, it could shift, it could flip upside down any moment. What are some ways to start owning that digital property that we should be looking at?
I think that's a great question. Where we come in, or where we recommend, whether using us or using any other digital marketing agency, the number one step that we try to look forward to with our clients is to develop a gap assessment. A gap assessment for us is a very comprehensive process. I mean, the end result looks like a phone book. It's like that thick. And what it is it's a 3 to 5 year roadmap on what opportunities are in the market? What is the market telling us from a data perspective? We're going to look at all of your marketing, all your materials. And the end result is we're going to, after we spoke with subject matter experts, spoken with your clients, everything like that. Once we've compiled all that, we're going to establish what the priorities are to move the needle in year 1, year 2, and year 3. Because what happens is that you have to use short-term and long-term initiatives. You can't dive in too much in long-term, or you'll never really get enough results to keep the boss happy. But if you're too short-sighted, you know what? Your growth is only going to get so far, where the people that have made long-term investments in how to grow their marketing, they usually, it's kind of like Moneyball. It's like they're not hitting home runs, but if you consistently hit single after single after single, over time, you just leapfrog everybody. And that's what we've been able to do. That's what we've been helping our clients do, grow at scale. I don't want to name names, but one of the clients that we had was an orthopedics company in Philadelphia. And it's probably one of the most competitive landscapes in the United States. And they were outranking their competition by almost like 80 to 90%, because they just dug in and they just kept doing the critical things that make marketing work. And it didn't hockey stick shape curve, but now it's at a spot where nobody can catch them.
Right, for sure. Yeah. Let me ask you this, Chris, because I have been in your office. I've seen your operation. I've met some of your team. And not only do you build amazing digital presence for companies, but you also have built a great culture in your company. So as far as the way that you manage, the way that you hire, the way that you build, motivate, and retain your team, talk a little bit about the culture, the values, and how you really intentionally built that with a very clear vision in mind.
Well, I think that over time you make enough mistakes on your own, or even in some of your hiring choices, where you learn not only who you don't need to have, but not who you need to have, but also who you don't need to have. And so what happened is that over time, as we started to move the pieces around, we started to figure out who are these key change agents in our company, who are the account managers that are going to be able to be rock stars for us, what are the directors that we need to do. And most importantly for me is I had a business partner that came in and he was able to lock the company down so I could focus on dream and vision and stuff like that. But once you get that team in place, that's not enough. And so what we have to do is that we had to come together as a team and really try to be in a scenario here where we understood that where the company is now and where the company could be doesn't depend on upper management. It depends on everybody involved. And so we have a concept that we call it bleeding orange. And essentially what it is if we can get everybody rowing in the right direction, and if they make really great commitments to us as upper management, we're going to be able to make those really great commitments back to them. And so as the company grows, we all win together. We do the right thing for the company, sometimes at our own personal expense. But what it's done is it doesn't make the company feel like, oh, it's something that Chris and Mark own. It makes it feel like we all own it. And the people we've hired have bought into that completely. And it's been wonderful, because we are a virtual company that is more like a hybrid company. We have an office. We invested really heavily in the office, but for the most part, our team members only come in maybe 1 to 2 days a week. So when you have a remote company, you have to invest more in culture than you ever could before, you ever thought of. You're not rubbing shoulders with these people every day.
Right, for sure. Well, before we get to the quarantine, coronavirus, where should we be focusing our attention? I also want to talk about how we initially met, which is your amazing show called Thought Leader Magazine. And that is a video show. In the olden days, meaning like 3 weeks ago, it was shot in your office with, professional equipment, studio lighting, professional microphones, very high-end production values. Talk about Thought Leader Magazine and how that came to be and how that plugs into your business model. It's a really cool idea.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So we started Thought Leader Magazine because I've been doing this for almost 19 years. And over the course of these years, I really started to hate sales. And what I mean by that is I help people sell, I help people market, but I've never been comfortable with the concept of selling to any one person or company. What I always like to do is tell about certain opportunities, tell about certain experiences that they could have. And if they like it, then they would be willing to buy. But I never really felt comfortable being in a sales scenario. But the problem is that when you are reaching out to them and they feel like they're being sold to. And so what we did is we took a step back. We didn't even put it on our own Farotech website. We created a new website called Thought Leader Magazine. And we were trying to find people in this world and basically companies that are disrupting markets. And what we would do is we literally just sit down with them and say, hey, how does this work? What are you doing? What's making you unique? And why are you crushing the competition? And so what I did was I was able to identify the people that I really wanted to talk to. And over the course of an hour conversation, I've been able to develop authentic relationships. And sometimes that turns into sales and sometimes it doesn't. But I believe in the power of relationships, and every conversation that I've ever had with someone on my show has turned into just blessings and opportunities. And in a very weird way, you were on my show about 3 weeks ago, almost a month. And here we are, I'm on your show, and you're crushing it right now. You're like one of the most highly rated podcasts in marketing and business. So this opportunity wouldn't have happened if I didn't have Thought Leader Magazine.
There you go. There you go. So it's win-win-win across the board.
Yeah.
Let's start pivoting into what your advice is during this crazy, upside down, turbulent period. What are your thoughts on this? What are some strategic initiatives that we should be looking at? What should we be focusing on, not focusing on? Give us the rundown.
Sure. What I'd like to be able to do, if you're comfortable with it, I'm going to share my screen. I kind of put some slides together because the people that are going to watch this on video might like a visual presentation.
Sure.
But it's my goal to also talk in a way where people that are just listening to the audio version will still understand where I'm coming
Beautiful.
from. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen here. So to confirm,
there it is.
There it is. All right. So the number one marketing thing that you should be doing during the crisis. So one of the things that we have, oh man, it's a terrible time for it not to be loading right. So what you're supposed to be seeing here is the number one challenge that's born out of inbound marketing is we go and we work with companies. And in that process, we're going to be talking about what kind of content do we want to get on the first page of Google? What kind of content do we want to share with our potential clients, et cetera, et cetera. Everyone's psyched. We're really excited. We have these gap assessments. Everyone's excited. And then what happens is they go back to the real world, or they go back to their job, and to write really great content requires action from subject matter experts in our clients' companies. The problem with that is that these subject matter experts are in a scenario where they don't have the time to commit to marketing. They're usually on the front end in sales opportunities or making relationships and things like that. And what happens here is you just don't get their time. And so what this quarantine has done is it's put us in a very unique place that it's very possible that your subject matter experts are kind of sitting on the sidelines because they're not able to get in front of clients. And so the number one thing that we recommend that companies do is identify who their subject matter experts are, and that they begin to stockpile. And, I'm trying to use a funny image here, not stockpiling toilet paper, but for the most part, stockpiling content. And the reason why we want to be able to stockpile content is because we have a greater agenda or a greater goal at the end of this rainbow. I happen to believe that this crisis will end one day, and that there's going to be companies that sat on their hands and really tried to make any lead or any sales opportunity possible in a time where most people are on a freeze. Most people are on unemployment. Most people are trying to get that SBA loan. And so it's very hard to sell right now. And so if you can sell, by all means, do it. But if you don't, I want you to recognize this opportunity for what it is. And it is an opportunity. And so if you're able to stockpile content At the end of the day, it's going to turn into really great SEO, and it's really great social media, and it's going to turn into a lot of things at the end of the rainbow. And so what I want to be able to do here is I want to be able to walk through how you do that. So the first thing that we recommend that companies do is they use a program here like StreamYard. So we're on StreamYard now. What StreamYard does is it allows your subject matter expert for a fraction of a cost, for the cost of a webcam, the cost of a microphone, to talk about certain things that matter about their company. And so usually where I start out is saying, I want you to talk about for 5 minutes only about each, if I identify the top 50 questions you hear all the time, I want a 5-minute video for every single one of those questions. So what I want to be able to do, the reason why I like StreamYard is because StreamYard allows you, after you built that video, it's able to go live in Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and LinkedIn Live, which is great. So now you're building your content and you're building your social media, you're building your social media presence. After that, what I want to do is I want to go and I want to put it in something like rev.com. What rev.com will take that video and it'll transcribe it. And now you have a video and you have content that you can put into a blog. So this is Farotech's blog here. What you're going to notice here is that I have right above the fold, I have access to a video, and right below that, I have basically the transcript that we're going to SEO optimize later on. Right? Other places you can put it is you can develop a knowledge base. One of the best knowledge bases I know is HubSpot. Their platform is really, really good. It's going to be able to allow users to type in questions and get quick and simple information. Zendesk makes one that's a little bit cheaper, but it's still effective. Same kind of functionality. We've had a really good experience with them. And then what I also want you to do is I want you to take your videos and I want you to put them into podcast format. And once they're in podcast format, you can use a tool like Libsyn, and Libsyn's going to syndicate that podcast across a number of different channels. One other tool that we also recommend is a tool called Soapbox by Wistia. And what Soapbox allows you to do is it allows you to humanize so that your video is on the left and your presentation is on the right. And after you've recorded this, you're able to build these presentations that humanize and tell a great story all in one platform.
Kind of like this right here.
That's right. That's right. Go. And then finally, I want to borrow this concept from Jay Moore. So not Jay Moore, Jay Baer. I knew I was going to say Jay Moore. What Jay Baer did is he wrote this awesome book called Utility. And Utility, he talked about John Deere. And what John Deere did is they made an investment, hundreds of years ago, and it's still true today, to build a resource that has every single frequently asked question about all their lawnmowers, about all their processes, about every single part about the company. And what's happened here is that once you've developed your content and use it as a utility as opposed to a sales tool, over time, you're going to be able to generate so much content and so much traffic. Like you can see here on, this is Uber Suggest. This is what I'm using to track John Deere's traffic. They're getting over 1.5 million visits a month for organic traffic. They're getting organic keywords. They have over 226,000 organic keywords, and they're getting a crazy amount of backlinks. So what I'm trying to say here in total is that it's very, very, very easy to, it's very, very, very easy to, I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
There we go.
It's very, very easy to be in a scenario here where you're just trying as hard as you can to get any sale that you can possibly get right now. And that might be a great use of your time, but I would probably say that this is the most unique time ever to get a subject matter expert to have the time to build a library of content that you can SEO optimize, that you can push through social channels. It's never been a time like this ever. And so we're coaching all of our clients to make the most of it. And we believe that we are 6 months away from an SEO and a social media machine like they've never seen before.
Wow. Very, very powerful. Well, and I think there's also a short-term strategy to creating all this content, especially when our buyers might be hair on fire, frozen, fear, they're trying to conserve their resources. As you're creating the content, Chris, could you not take those content pieces as they're published and say, hey, Sally, hey, Jim, we just posted this on our blog. I thought of you. I thought of your situation. I thought of our last conversation. Feel free to share it with the team. And just start giving that content, but specifically, proactively, outbound, give that content with no ask, no call to action, no, oh, hey, let's hop on a call too. Or, hey, by the way, that proposal's been on your desk for 3 months. Just show up in their world like a happy squeaky wheel and use that content that your subject matter experts are creating or that you're creating, and use those as part of your non-selling sales arsenal.
Correct. Yep. Made this article, thought it was a perfect fit for you. No obligation here. Just if this brings value, that's all what it's here for.
Yeah. Really, really powerful.
Yeah.
Now, what can we do? Because you mentioned about bulking up our content. Are there things on most websites, like before you produce the phone book, and people go, oh my God, I can't believe so many lost opportunities, so many broken, funky, missing, and sad things on the website before they get the big phone book? Are there simple, either messaging changes or structural changes that for this crazy turbulent time, you're recommending to your clients?
Sure. Well, it really depends on what software you have. I think the cheapest one out there right now, Neil Patel has bought a company called Uber Suggest. And I was showing that one of the screenshots there. I think it's like $10 a month. It's going to look at the critical things wrong with your website. It's going to look at what keywords you should have. It's what I would kind of call like SEO 101. Even though there's some deep tools there, I think that when we think about our website, and this isn't every company, but this is a lot of companies. It's like the boss says, or the CMO and the boss, they have this great idea. They're going to build a website and everyone's high-fiving. And then the web development company leaves, and then Sally gets called in. And Sally's hair is on fire every single day. And the boss says, hey, Sally, since you weren't doing anything, we're going to put you in charge of building the website. And so Sally, on top of her 40-hour job, has to build the website on top of that. And everything has to run smooth because Sally's, performance review is based upon that. And what Sally is doing is she's writing and doing the best possible job.
Holy smokes. Sorry. Clearly, I pressed the wrong button. So our friends at StreamYard are like, what the hell did he just do? I'm sorry. Let's go back to Sally with the hair on fire.
Sally's hair's on fire. They put this job, they put this new web build on top of her normal job. And the greatest day of Sally's life is when the website is launched. So Sally can go back to her normal job.
Yeah.
And here we sit with a new website for the next 3 years that barely gets touched, barely gets looked at, written by someone who needed to get it done so that they could get to the stuff that they really wanted to do. All right. So the number one thing that we say is, if you can use an expert and you have the money right now in these times to do it, use an expert. Like, we can break down a website in a fraction of the time than someone doing it in-house. If you don't have that time, use some of these tools to identify certain knobs you can change and just certain things you can do to adjust content, and just see how it performs.
I like it. And leave the heavy lifting to the professionals, I always say.
Yeah.
What's that?
I think that this time is going to expose that do-it-yourself is will work in some areas, but not in other areas.
Right. Exactly.
My vantage point is that marketing is moving so fast that it requires subject matter experts to basically outshine your competition. And so you want to be on the first page. Your client's expectations are really high. You want to be on the first page of Google. You want to be a thought leader. You want to have a social presence. You want to have your website be really great as a utility, and it goes on and on and on. And if that lands on one person's plate, like a marketing director's plate, even if he or she has 120 hours a week to do it, she just doesn't have the expertise to do it and doesn't have the time.
Right.
And so, just like maybe you do, but I don't, if my plumbing leaks, I don't try to fix it myself. I call a plumber. And so what we try to do as a company is we have the subject matter experts on our team. We do a team-based approach. So people that work with us pay one bill, but they have access to all these subject matter experts that are able to make and turn the dials on their marketing so that they don't have to hire that internally, but they get to be more of a quarterback than a doer, because you just don't have enough time to keep up with all this stuff. It's crazy.
You sure don't. And again, unless you're a brain surgeon, you shouldn't be doing the brain surgery.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So, Chris, two final questions here as we're wrapping up. My final question is, how do people get connected and stay connected to more Chris and more Farotech and more of all the great utility, as our friend Jay Bear says, that's on your website and all the resources that you have? But before we get to that, second to last question is, if folks were to take one central idea from our conversation today about marketing, about building a company, about hiring a great team, about how to survive and thrive in this present moment, any of those topics, what would you like that central concept to be?
I think that the audience that I'm trying to speak to are the companies that are fairly well established, that are wondering, you know what, these are very uncertain times. What is the best thing I should be doing in this time? Because your SBA loan that you're getting, if you're getting it, is the country's doing as much as they can to decrease unemployment. And so they're giving loans to companies to keep your employees in their chairs. So if they're in your chairs, and a part of that loan is you can't let them go, not that I'm pushing for that, they got to say, well, if they're sitting in the chair, what's the best use of our time in this downtime? And so everything I've been talking about stockpiling, that is my number one. If you watch this video and you get one thing, commit to stockpiling subject matter expertise content, and then leave it there until after the crisis so that you can have a professional company, SEO optimize it, and turn it into a machine.
I love it. All right. Where can we send people to get connected and stay connected to Chris Carr, Farotech, downloads, resources, links? And by the way, we're going to link up all of these things in the show notes under this episode at thespeakingshow.com. Chris, where can we send people?
That's great. That's great. So I would probably send them to farotech.com. One of the things that we're going to be doing, so one of the sad parts of our story is that we built this company 19 years ago. I have about roughly between 120 and 150 clients, and our people are inundated working on clients' work. And so what I'm sort of doing is I'm being very vulnerable about our company and where we're at. And we're about to start a blog series and start to make videos that basically say, here's Farotech. We got about 5,000 visitors to our website every month. Our goal is to scale it to the limits, whatever it is, maybe 20,000 to 50,000 a month. What I want you to do is follow every week. You're going to see the things that we do. You're going to see the adjustments that you do. And we're going to journal everything we did to take our website from where it is now to where we believe it could be. So I would encourage you to come to Farotech and kind of watch that journey with us. And if you got frequently asked questions that we've done for our clients, by all means, I'd love to answer them. I'm going to have subject matter experts join me to say, hey, you know what? Here are certain things I would recommend at this part of the process, and so on and so forth. So I think it's going to be a really fun time.
I love that. And I'll tell you, Chris, the integrity of that really stands out. So sometimes the highest compliment that I get is, David, wow, you are really a practitioner of what you teach, and you teach what you practice. And Chris, same exact thing, that, as you're building up your profile and your resources and your utility and your backlog of highly valuable content, people should get a front row seat to that. They should watch what you're doing. They should model what you're doing. And if they want to do it seriously, they should call you, and they should have a consult, and they should figure out how can they get from where they are to where they want to go. And that doesn't matter if you're going from zero to hero, hero to superhero, or some of your clients, I know they're already superhero status, corporate-wise, superhero to hyperspace.
Yeah, yeah. And, one of the things, especially in this time like this, is that if people just want to use me for a resource, if they've got questions, I don't want them to feel like, hey, you know what, it's going to turn into this sales push. That's not what we're about right now. We're going to weather the storm, and we're going to be there for people. And if they want to use us as a resource, that's wonderful. And if they want to use our expertise, we have not operators standing by, but we've got a team that's ready to support you.
Well, there are operators. I mean, someone will pick up the phone, right?
That's right. Yeah.
There are operators standing by, but there are web gurus and content gurus and design gurus and, UX and all kinds of gurus you have there in the office.
That's right.
I love it. All right, my friend. Fantastic to have you on. I appreciate you. This was a great, great interview.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.